versions coming from Anambra State on this particular elections. Joining us to look at some of the issues is the President Voters Awareness Initiative. He's also a lawyer, Wale Ogwade. Good morning and thanks for joining us. Welcome from Anambra State.
Thank you so much. Yeah, good morning, viewers.
Yeah, we also kept in touch with you while you were there, speaking with our correspondents as well as yourself. Tell us how it went on that day.
Election day was wonderful. In fact, God has a hand in it. The weather was quite cooperative. The Anambrans too were quite cooperative because they were eager for the event. I've been to Igbo land quite a number of times. You know the Anambra people, particularly the Igbo people. They are always aggressive. That's their nature, and we know no harm here. And of course, you see two gentlemen shouting, talking to each other. Sometimes we from the south, west, say, "What is it now? Take it easy." But this day, everything went calm. But the unfortunate thing, simultaneously, elections did not take place or start 8 o'clock.
Okay, that is the accreditation.
Sorry, accreditation did not start 8 o'clock. I thought it was a play. Backyard of Oka, there is a village called Inse. We went there. The youth corpers were not there. We went to Eori, some few kilometers away. Nothing was happening. We went to Agulu Chow, something like that too. Nothing was happening. Then we now decided we wanted to turn back to the headquarters of the local government. Then we now saw the guys coming around 9 o'clock. What was happening? And they said they delayed them. Who delayed you? They said they delayed them. Okay. We followed them. They started setting up. We left there. We went to Aguno. That's the town of Prt1. Same thing. We left there. Went to Ukpo, the town of Emeka, Autorize, I guess, Autorize. The same thing. And of course, in between, we saw their villages. All over Anambra, my people in all the 21 local government area, nowhere did accreditation start 8 o'clock.
All 21?
All 21.
But you couldn't have been there. I mean, if you're moving around, what would have happened?
I just said that I have my people all over the 21 local government area.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't just your team that was going round. It was you're making phone calls to clarify.
Yes.
Okay.
So that one put a... And of course in law, particularly when it comes to election matters, we have what we call substantial compliance, we have what we call marginal compliance, and we have what we call partial compliance in election matters. And of course, this issue now did not fall within. You can't call this substantial or marginal or total compliance. And all of these things are issues. Anyway, I hope maybe if time permits, I'll get back to it.
But that was just accreditation. Eventually accreditation started because according to your own account, from what you saw in the very first area that you visited, you eventually saw at about 9 o'clock the INEC officials coming. So one would think that, okay, they settle down by 9:30, accreditation will begin and hopefully the voting process will begin as well.
Good. But that has now altered the procedure. Because if you don't accredit, then definitely they won't be voting until accreditation is finished by the last person.
Well, this usually happens. I mean, because what happens is that I make extensions of time.
It usually happens. But my problem is the effort, the energy, the logistics, the attention that has been placed on this election called Anambra Governorship election. In fact, it was as if 16th of November will never be. Because it was a day everyone looked up to, that yes, there will be a different upturn. And that would make people like, I went there on Tuesday. So my people will be on ground to distribute all my guys around the 21 local governments, so as to see that indeed the work is done very well. And of course, on Thursday, when I was in the INEC headquarters in Oka, the INEC officers were beating their chest that this time around we're going to get it right. And we are happy that yes, at the press briefing too, earlier in the day, for observers, of course they were up and down, they all talk that they are all ready and so on.
So with that beating of their chest, what does that say? That they've done all that needs to be done?
And of course we said, okay, good.
So what went wrong?
I don't know. In fact, till driving here now, I'm still thinking, what went wrong? Because at the end, you saw them driving out with all the materials. We have advocated that they must move non-sensitive materials, electoral materials, before the election, so as to reduce the stress on election day. That we are told was done, and I saw them. I saw them moving materials out. Is in terms of security, there were as many military policemen as you can say they needed. There were as many military guys too on ground, because I wouldn't know, that day I decided just to go to Enugu on Thursday after I found out that everything. I just decided to go to Enugu to see a pastor of mine who came back from India and so on. So when we are going to Enugu, on the way from Enugu to Oka, we saw a detachment of military guys, around 20 jeep vehicle in the hillocks coming in. I said, well, you want to beef up security. So to us, all things have been put in place for a successful election. What went wrong, I can't say. But to me, sorry, in Indemili, if anything at all, in 2011, we knew, in 2010, we knew that Indemili is a hotspot in Anambra. And if anything at all, if I were the INEC chairman, I would be in Indemili to ensure that things went right. What's Jaga doing in Abuja? He could have come to this action point to ensure that he supervises things himself.
I think
he don't leave the big job for the small boys. Big jobs are done by the big men.
So the small boys failed on that day.
That's what he's saying.
So what did you get? Because if you say you were trying to find out what exactly went wrong, it looks to me that you also have an idea of what went wrong if you're saying INEC should have actually been present there.
There was no monitoring. What happened is that a square peg was placed in a square hole, in a round hole. That's all. If not, delivery is what Nigerians expect. Not excuses. We are tired of excuses. We expected that this Anambra will be a litmus test towards Ondo and towards Ekiti and eventually Osun. Then we will now roll coast into the 2015 election without any stress. And I've been advocating, and I hope someone is listening. Is there anything wrong in having a mock election before the D-Day? Just as you said before we got on air, Anambra is a small place. Monitor the election in Adamawa now. It's a very big, large expanse of land from Zone to Maiduguri. More than 5 hours journey. Here in Anambra, within 3 hours, we crisscrossed around Anambra.
Were there complaints about the register?
Plenty. Many. I went to a place. In fact, one guy came and met me. Said, Oga, I voted here. In the last election, I voted here. My name is not there. I now asked him, what of your neighbors? Neighbors, I mean co-voters who voted together here. He said some of them voted, their names are there, some are not there. And of course, during the electoral activities, you see, election is not an event. It's a process. It's not an election day that now wake up, then they vote today, you go out and vote, and you want to cast your vote. You are wrong. It's a process. It starts from the registration. There's a period we call the claims and objection time. That claim is for you to make your claim if your name is wrongly spelled, or you find out that a neighbor or somebody you don't know, you now know it, you register in Aguacha or something, they will say, this man will be our neighbor here, we don't know him. That's the essence of the objection, claims and objection.
That wasn't this done, because one of the questions we've asked the political parties that have come in is that issue of the voter register that was given to them 30 days ahead, then according to them, a couple of days before the elections. And according to them, they said they were not able to verify the second voter register with the first voter register.
So you see the reason why indeed there must be a fresh election, because there are so many discrepancies.
Why would INEC change the voter register in the
things and that has happened? So let's follow. You see, to me, sorry to say to just go to the answer. We should not allow the legal process to go into this thing. Let's settle it politically and administratively. The legal process will kill the political life of Anambra. It will stunt it. Because by the time we start all these things, definitely it's going to the law courts, and we know how slow the law courts are. And before we know it, there will be stress in the system. The best thing is that we just bury our ego. Let's have a fresh election. Then all things will be done naturally. Deploy all the hands, all the observers and everyone to the place, and Jaga too, let him sit down and supervise the election. You know,
just before we touch on that, the part of the INEC chairman, because someone would say that they've done elections in how many states before Anambra? They did elections in Ondo, they did elections in Edo as well, and the INEC chairman did not have to go there to see things for himself. Things were handled as they should have been handled in those states. But looking at Anambra State, what the APGA chairman has said, And what INEC too also seems to be standing on is the issue of substantial compliance. They have agreed that yes, there were hitches. ABGA says there was only in one particular community. The same thing with INEC. INEC says yes, there were also spots in, but that is not enough for them to cancel elections across the entire state, that they had substantial compliance. Even in the areas that you seem to have mentioned, it would seem that eventually, even though, yes, voting or accreditation started late, voting did take place in those areas.
What's the answer to a prime candidate not able to vote, not being able to vote? What's the answer to a candidate being registered in 3 places? All these are issues all these are legal issues.
These are issues
that will throw spanners in the works.
These are issues.
These are simple advice for us to move forward.
Have you heard INEC also talk about how they had the addendum register and how some people too had they had irregularities with their registration, so to speak, and they had done an announcement, but it was saying that a lot of people did not come out, so it was saying a lot of people were not aware of what had happened, and they are saying that is not our fault. That cannot be our fault.
When I went round, didn't they tell you about 5 people accosted me on this issue of their voters' their names not be on the voters register? I said, didn't they tell you? So they didn't hear anything. They didn't hear anything. If information is not passed on, how will people know?